Bookie Beatdown coming at you. Paul, Cody, UFC Vancouver. Pretty rare that we get a UFC card up here in the Great White North. And it's not a pay-per-view. Does that mean we're back? COVID happened. They used to do these types of fight night cards. But it feels like it's been an eternity since we've had a fight night card and not a pay-per-view. I remember they went to like Moncton that one time. There was UFC Moncton. I haven't been to here in Halifax. And have they ever been here in Halifax?
They went to Moncton, and I believe they went to Saskatoon one time. And yeah, you're right. They used to say, well, this is not a knock against Canadian talent. It's that for a pay-per-view card, you got to have these big, high-profile fights. And of course, if you're going to Canada, you want to include a bunch of Canadians. So how many of these Canadians can we put in big, high-profile fights? So as you can see from this one, we're starting to head in the right direction. Mike Malott is starting to crack into the rankings at 170 pounds. If he beats Kevin Holland, certainly you can start making some bigger, more meaningful fights with him. Jasmine Jasudavicius, if she's to win this, her next fight presumably would be for the belt. So it's all about growing that talent and getting them in those meaningful fights. But yeah, outside of that, Aiemann Zahabi, he just beat Jose Aldo. A win over Marlon Vera does them well, but it's all about growing them. There was a time where you had Georges St. Pierre. There was a time where you had Rory McDonald. There was even a time where you had guys like Patrick Cote that were at least, top challengers that were fighting for the belt. But in recent years, there's been a lull where, not that there's not Canadian fighters on the roster, there's no ranked Canadian fighters on the roster. None of them are cracking the top 15 or top 10. And so, maybe we're starting to trend in that direction. So I like this card. There's 13 fights on it. Only 7 of them feature Canadian fighters. So there's 6, international bouts, so to speak. But it's a fun as a fight night for that local crowd. And it's cool, like you said, Paul, that they're doing fight nights in Canada and that they're not just always staying in the Apex. There was a run where it's like 6 straight Apex cards. Now what you're seeing is they go to Iowa, and then they go to China, and then they go to France, and then they go to Australia, and then they go to Vancouver. And it's like they're moving all around. It's back to being, like you mentioned, pre-COVID international flavor. I like it, and it's a great outlet for the Canadian fans. So hopefully more of them win than not, or at least the ones we're betting on, because we ain't taking all of them, Paul. We ain't taking all of them. But hopefully the ones that we are backing can get the W, and we can make this extra sweet this weekend.
Yeah, anything that gets us out of the Apex. I've been kind of beating that drum since COVID ended. Just like, yeah, it served its purpose. That and like Fight Island and not being in front of a crowd. But like, we do all this like regional stuff every single week. It's like Octagon over in, the Czech Republic and Germany. They sell out freaking soccer stadiums, and this is for like regional level competition. The Cage Warriors fights, they're always absolute bangers, and the crowd has such a factor. It adds such a element of excitement to at least the broadcast, and I think it adds an element of excitement for the fighters. Like, there's plenty of fighters who have come out so that they don't really want, like, it feels like a sparring match when they're inside the Apex. So glad that we're getting back out on the road. And you said 7 Canadian fighters or 7 fights with Canadians, but you left out the fact that like Canada's so hot right now that Brendan Allen is claiming to be Canadian.
I forgot about that. You're right.
This one. His great grandmother, I don't know what it is. I mean, I'm sure he's got Canadian roots in some way, shape, or form, but I just thought it was kind of funny. I'm trying to get a little bit of an edge. I mean, he's taking on a Dutch guy. So, if you can get a little bit of an edge in that crowd, maybe that gives you an advantage if this thing goes to the scorecards. But anyway.
I'll tell you something real quick, though, Paul. Yep. Lots of people, particularly during the time of the Vietnam War draft, have Canadian roots. You know what I'm saying? It was like, I think I'm going to go hang out over here for a little bit. Muhammad Ali, Canadian roots. Yeah. All jokes aside, I think it's like both of his grandmothers. Kind of weird. Brock Lesnar repped Canada one time. Happily took him all day. Brendan Allen, we'll break this one down and see if we want him repping us or not, Paul.
Yes, sir. Main event, we have Brendan Allen taking on Reinier de Ridder. De Ridder's about a -200 favorite to come back on Canadian Brendan Allen. It's like +170. Who you got in the main event?
Yeah, listen, it's a good fight, and I'm going to lean towards Reinier de Ridder. -200, I think it's a little bit deep. I think Brendan Allen poses lots of problems to him, right? Reinier de Ridder is just a giant guy, 6'4", big reach on him. But Brendan Allen at 6'2", does have some solid size within the division. In terms of jiu-jitsu, they both have excellent grappling. They're both black belts. In terms of striking, Reinier does this really weird thing where his striking is very wonky and, certainly not something a traditional boxing coach would teach a guy. He likes to lead with these knees to the body. He's got some big winging hooks. And so a limited striker like Brandon Allen could in fact be a better striker than Reinier. If you look at volume, Brandon Allen looks like he's got more volume than him as well. So is it possible that he outworks him? Is it possible that he's got, just enough striking to win exchanges on the feet and just enough grappling to stay out of harm's way, really make this guy work? Yeah, all possible, all possible. But the two things that have led me to go with Reinier is, one, he's got this funky Dricus du Plessis thing going on where it's like he's not doing the right thing for the most part, and it still works. He's very strong. He's very physical. I mean, his jiu-jitsu is top notch, and if he can trip you down with that judo base of his, temporarily offset your balance, take you down, he really does capitalize. Excellent grappling, excellent ability to lean on guys. You saw in the last couple rounds of the Whitaker fight, when it was a very close fight, he decides to just go to the standing cage control, and even a guy that's got excellent fitness and cardio like Rob Whitaker is being physically taxed from it. Whitaker's a world-class striker. Why didn't he just beat him up easily on the feet? Well, because he's such a big, large man. And now I mentioned, well, Brandon Allen's a big guy too. Yeah, but I mean, the constant pressure of Reinier is very taxing. And to be taking this as a 5-round fight for a guy like Brandon Allen, who has fought 5 rounds, don't get me wrong, but I don't think his cardio is like top notch. I think that a physical taxing exertion of grappling exchanges and constantly having to fight off your back foot and constantly having to pummel and dig underhooks up against the cage, that's going to slow this guy down over 5 and allow De Ridder to eventually take over. The last thing is the short notice. I think it absolutely plays something in it. We saw last week with Mateusz Gamrot. If you follow Mateusz Gamrot on social media, he's always in shape, all of the time. And he's known to call guys out on short notice. When Benoit Saint-Denis needed an opponent on that last Canadian card, where Kyle Prepolec ended up filling in for him, Gamrot had his hand up. Like, let me fight Benoit Saint-Denis on a week's notice. The guy's a consummate pro, always trains, always in good shape. Takes a fight last week on Charles Oliveira, again, at 12 days notice, and he comes in and he gets massacred. And then a statement after the fight, he says, I only trained 12 days for the fight, guys. I was not in shape. It's like, whoa, but you're always in shape. And you actually called the UFC matchmakers and asked to fight Charles Oliveira. But his point's not wrong. It's short notice. And with these giant magnitude fights, you can take a fight on 4 days notice on the Contender Series. You can take a fight on a week's notice on a regular prelim. This guy's 1-2 in the UFC. I'll take a fight on short notice. Paul, you're a giant fan of the Russian fighters. Name me the last excellent Russian fighter, and name me the last Russian fighter in general that took a fight on short notice. That they were like, hey, this guy's hopping in on a week's notice.
Some of that probably has to do with like visas. They probably don't take
they're all living in San Jose anyways.
Yeah, I guess. I imagine a little bit of like visa stuff though for some of them at least. The ones that are living in over stateside, different story. But you're right, like Evloev, the guy's been in the conversation, but he's kind of boring. What do you think would have helped him over the course of his career, taking short notice fights and stuff like that? And he just never really stepped up to the plate for anything like that.
Because you over prepare. You have to have in circumstances. They'll never be 100%, but you have to have favorable circumstances. You have to prepare. And these guys are elite, and they're elite for a reason. And I'm just saying, there's certain guys where it's like, this guy saved the show. He stepped in at the 11th hour. He's a Dan Ige kind of guy. Okay?
I mean, Chimaev during Fight Island. Anybody, smash everybody. And then once he got a few fights under his belt, he fights once a year, twice a year tops.
Yeah. You know what? He fought Kevin Holland on short notice because he was like, I missed 10 pounds against Nate Diaz, so now we're going to flip this fight. I don't know, weird circumstances. I'm just saying, you know what I'm getting at. For the most part, it's like the guys that are planning at the high level, they want to be prepared. Gamrot, now he's fighting Charles Oliveira. You need a perfect camp. You need, to be in the best shape you've ever been, and your striking needs to be clean and your timing needs to be clean, and you've been working with world-class Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu experts over and over and over and over. Everything's lined up. Yeah, you're a little sore. It's a fight camp and you're 34 years old, but you want to get it favorable. When you come in on short notice, again, on prelims, on mid-cards, against mid-level talent, you can do it all day long. It's the highest level. It's not favorable circumstances. So Brandon Allen, I always thought, he might have somewhat of some cardio issues, right? His fight with Sean Strickland, he kind of tires after one round. His fight with Nasruddin Imavov, he won the first round. The second and the third, he's gassed. But it was in France. Okay, fine. His first round with Fluffy Hernandez, he arguably won the first round. Second and the third round, he's gassed. His fight with Chris Curtis, it went 5 rounds, but Chris Curtis is a welterweight who he beat by split decision. Well, Chris previously knocked him out. The rematch, He wins a split decision over him. In a fight, he gets outlanded in over 5, and I can't say he particularly looked great there either. His get-out-of-jail-free card is that he can mix in some takedowns. You know, a guy like Imavov, who's big and 6'3", and you don't want to strike with him, you can mix in a takedown. Against Fluffy, he's able to reverse and end up on top. Against big old 6'4" Reinier de Ridder, who's fought at 205 pounds before, who's had a full camp, getting ready for Fluffy Hernandez in a fight that's going to vault him into a title match with Chimaev, he's ready. You're not. So 5 rounds is going to make a difference. And I just feel like de Ridder ends up either just finding a late stoppage, like hurts him to the body, swarms him, gets on top, ground and pounds him, or just wins 3 of the 5 rounds and picks up a decision of sorts. So unless the hometown cooking is in for Brandon Allen, who's Mimi and Pop Pop spent some time in Canada 75 years ago, yeah, I don't know. Other than that, I feel like Reinier does win. Don't love the minus 200, but I do think he wins the fight more often than not, so he's my pick.
Yeah, could be a fight that like ends up being a little bit better in live markets. Maybe Brendan Allen comes out hot, wins the first round. You get more
entirely
of a pick'em
possible.
type.
Right.
Entirely possible, but not like you can't count on it. You know what I mean? Reinier could totally come out and win the first round. I echo most of the same sentiments as you. I haven't been the highest on Reinier de Ridder, but I also haven't been the highest on Brendan Allen. Allen does slow down kind of later in fights. He just kind of edged it out last time out against Vettori. When he did go 5 rounds against Chris Curtis, round 5, he had like 13 significant strikes. I mean, there is a world where Brendan Allen does throw out more volume than Reinier de Ridder. Reinier de Ridder is low volume. A lot of these grappling, it's going to be that early grappling, taxing Allen and making it work late, I believe. That's going to, get Reinier his hand raised. But early on, it could be definitely a problem. So for me, I'm sure Reinier de Ridder will work itself into some a little bit. I'm a degenerate. I love gambling. I'm sure he'll be in some parlays and stuff. But in terms of like big time investment, I don't know if I'm going to get too crazy on this one pre-flop.
If you watch that, well, I'm sure you did, but the Vettori fight, because you're right, it's high volume. High volume could definitely work in this circumstance against a guy who's going to probably land around 75. But the first 2 rounds against Vettori, he outlands him. The third round, he is the first round where Vettori starts to really pick up the pace, and you see Brandon Allen starting to wilt, but it's only a 3-round fight. Hernandez and Imavov, they're 3-round fights. This is a 5-round fight, and he's on short notice. So if he starts to wilt by the third, even if he wins the first 2 rounds, if he wilts by the third and would otherwise win a 29-28, but now he's gassed against big old Reinier de Ridder, who's still coming forward, going to be a problem. So anyways, yeah, going to be a good fight, but time to move on to the co-main.
Yes, sir. Co-main event. We've pretty much got a straight pick. It's like minus 115 for Mike Malott. He's taking on Kevin Holland. He's like minus 105. Best price plus 103 right now. Pretty much a straight pick. Interesting type of situation, and just in the fact that like if that D-Rod fight didn't happen, and you can always say these types of things in the world of mixed martial arts, but if that D-Rod fight doesn't happen, I feel like Holland's a pretty decent sized favorite here, probably at least minus 170. Longer, he fights well at 170 pounds. Longer, Mike Malott could probably mix in the grappling, but like, we've seen him gas, obviously, against Neil Magny, round 3. But that fight against D-Rod was very, very puzzling, very problematic for Kevin Holland. Obviously, knocked down twice. Like a lot of this, his historic durability, which has been like kind of his calling card throughout a lot of his career.
Yeah, never been knocked down in 26 fights.
Yeah, and like Delije, that TKO there is like that was an injury.
Yeah. And the
if that durability is starting
hand,
to
also an injury.
Yeah, if that durability is starting to leave him, like it becomes it definitely becomes a lot more problematic here. That all to say, with the length, the reach that Holland has as an advantage here, he's just so like his arms are just so long. I just feel like Malott's going to be eating those straight shots right down the pipe. Kevin Holland's been in these bigger situations before. We met Mike Malott, so hopefully he doesn't watch our show because obviously he could kick my ass. And 2, he seemed like an incredibly nice guy, at least to me. When when we met him outside of the belt or PFL card when we were in Vegas.
I've known Mike a long time. I booked one of his pro fights back in the day against Alan the Machine Gun Wilson. God rest his soul. Ended up dying short time
Yeah,
after that.
Holland. I'll let you take it over in a sec. Holland's the pick for me at a pick 'em price. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I'm not going to take Kevin Holland. I'm going to go with Mike Malott. With Kevin Holland, it's a lot of the same thing you're saying. If you didn't see the Daniel Rodriguez fight, would you be probably a lot more inclined to pick him for sure? But for me, it's just like it's compounded damage. This is his 5th fight of 2025. And so just like Donald Cerrone, who went on this wicked good run where he was just fighting all the time and short notice, and he'll do it at 170, he'll do it at 155, he'll do it wherever. Donald Cerrone's an absolute badass, right? And then eventually it's very taxing on the body. So Kevin Holland had never been knocked down in 26 UFC fights. He's never been knocked down. He's never been knocked out. He was TKO'd after a 4th round stoppage against Stephen Wonderboy Thompson when he broke his hand. And like Paul mentioned, he got TKO'd after the 1st round of a fight with Roman Delites where he broke his rib. He has a no contest on his record where he got knocked down from a headbutt, but because it was a headbutt that led to the finish, it got ruled a no contest. Thing I'm getting at is that he's always had good striking durability. His ground game leaves something to be desired, but at 170, it seems to be a lot better, and he seems to be shorted out. But keep in mind, Kevin Holland, not old, 32 years old, but he fights a lot. He fights often, and he likes fighting at 185 because he doesn't have to cut the weight. In his last number, he fought Reinier de Ridder at the beginning of the year in January at 185. Got submitted in the 1st round. Then he fought Gunnar Nelson at 170. He fought Vicente Luque at 170. He fought Daniel Rodriguez at 170. Now he's going to fight Mike Malott at 170. I think that is what's leading to these durability issues. He had never been knocked down before, and now Daniel Rodriguez, who's not a light puncher, because he has knocked a few guys out, knocked out Santiago Ponzinibbio in the fight prior, but is not a heavy puncher, and he knocks you down twice. Not only that, Kevin Holland doesn't usually gas, and that he's pretty tired in that fight. He's also losing the grappling exchanges against a 38-year-old Daniel Rodriguez. Rodriguez at 38, who had a competitive fight that went the distance versus Alex Morono, looked really good here against Kevin Holland, knocking him down twice, outstriking him, and winning a bunch of the grappling exchanges. So to me, it's you're fighting often, you're fighting all the time, you're starting to get a little bit older, the weight cuts are hurting you, durability is starting to become a problem. That all just opens up the window for Mike Malott to win this fight in a number of ways. One, Mike Malott, I think, has a wrestling advantage. I think if he went in, the guy was former head coach at Team Alpha Male for a number of years, lived in Sacramento, training with those guys for a number of years. His wrestling's good. He's also a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. If he can take Holland down and end up on top of him, he's in a good spot. Gunnar Nelson's the size of a flyweight, or not a flyweight, a lightweight. Okay, he's a natural lightweight that fights at 170. He's only 5'11". He took Holland down 3 times. He just didn't do anything with it. You mean to tell me that Mike Malott, who's 6'1", big size, 170 pounder, can't take having Kevin Holland down a few times? The striking, just like the Daniel Rodriguez fight, just keep it close. You don't have to nuke him, right? You can just keep it close. But keeping it close for 3 minutes and then scoring a takedown and riding out the last 2 minutes of the round on top in Canada against Kevin Holland is going to win you the round. He's not a stupid guy. Like you said, you've met him. Very intelligent. Mm-hmm. Brother plays in the NHL. Family is upper pedigree people. Got a great team around him. I would think it's silly to just play punchy kicky at range with a guy with an 80-inch reach. He's going to be trying to take him down. Now, like the Magny fight, it's take him down, but don't overexert yourself, which is fair. But against Magny, he was taking him down. I think he could do the same thing here. I think he'll mind his P's and Q's in ways like 2 fights back. If you look at Mike Malott versus Trevin Giles, it's a terrible fight. It's a terrible fight. But that was the fight after he gassed versus Neil Magny. So he's taking his time. He's just trying to make sure, hey, I'm just trying to figure out what's getting cage time and not overextending yourself. The next fight with Charles Radke, he lands 36 significant strikes in the 1st round, gets that 1st round KO, looks good. It's finding that in between.
5'9" guy
tiny,
who probably should be a lightweight as well.
But just like it's a slump buster, right? It's like, yeah, I gotta get this big fat fatty out of the way to get my confidence back. So I take on Trevin Giles and I do the bare minimum, right? And then I take on Charles Radke and I knock him out. And he gives a great speech on the mic afterwards. This is for Canada. We're doing it for Canada. UFC's hot and horny for it. They say, let's put him on the co-main event of a nice little fight night card in Vancouver. So they're giving him what I believe is the right fight, in that Mike's got enough power to knock out Kevin Holland. And I probably wouldn't have said that before the Daniel Rodriguez fight, but I do mean it now. If he just catches him with a good right hook, he could sit him down. At the very least, score a knockdown and win the round that way, right? If not, we mix in some takedowns, we win the round that way. If not, you have to strike with Kevin Holland. He's there for those low kicks. Mike's going to be working the calf. Mike's got some decent hand speed. Kevin Holland's got a tall man defense. He's had to cut weight 4 times to welterweight this year. This is his 5th fight of the year overall. There's an opportunity to catch a sliding downwards Kevin Holland, and I think Mike Malott's going to do that. So I'm going to pick him for the win.
I will say for Holland, in Holland's defense, so the D-Rod fight he took on, it was less than 6 weeks in between those fights. For Kevin Holland, this fight's taking place October 18th. July 19th was the D-Rod fight. 3 months for Kevin Holland is like an eternity. So, it's a lot of time in between fights for a guy who usually likes to get in there every 2 months, sometimes even less. So maybe a bit off more than he could chew. So agree to disagree in the co-main event. We'll see where the market goes. It opened up at plus 135. I hope I can get some dog money later on in the week on Kevin Holland, because I'll end up betting that. Moving on down, we've got Marlon Vera taking on Aiemann Zahabi, another closely lined fight. Slight, edge in terms of the market on Aiemann Zahabi, who's a minus 131 favorite to come back on Marlon Vera, plus 111. I feel like it's kind of one of those things where Vera, we've seen it so many times. He's just so low volume. He's a slow start. If this was a 5-round fight between the two of these guys, I think I would be all about Marlon Vera to edge this out, particularly as the fight goes along. 3-round fight. We saw Zahabi. I mean, Zahabi's on a hell of a run. Credit where credit is due. He's been absolutely cooking, as the kids would say. He had some dicey moments, obviously, against Jose Aldo last time out there. But outside of what the Draco Rodriguez knockout loss, Ricardo Ramos spinning back elbow loss. Sorry, my bad. I remember he was a plus 180 dog to Draco Rodriguez. That's what was going on in my mind there. He's made a lot of improvements. He's definitely stepped up his game, and what really kind of works for him is, I think he's probably going to throw more volume out there, particularly in the early rounds. And it's a volume game a lot of the times. Plus, if it goes to decision, we're in Canada. Zahabi is obviously, a very popular name up here. Slightly into Zahabi here, but, another fight that I expect to be close and competitive. Your thoughts on the third fight down?
Yeah, no, pretty well the same thoughts. I think Zahabi's just going to kind of play a sparring type session, pinpoint accuracy, move your feet a little bit faster, a little bit sharper, more precise, fire linear punches, nice straight down the middle, and just tag this guy up. Marlon Vera, and I'm going to use a lot of the same examples that we just talked about, in my opinion, because I know you're taking Kevin Holland. But what we just talked about Kevin Holland, Marlon Vera is also same age as Kevin Holland. He's 32 years old. But in those 32, he's got 35 pro fights. He's been around the block a bunch of times. And I kind of feel like, the end's starting to get near. He has officially 24 fights in the UFC, right? In those 24 fights, he's never been knocked down before. Till that last one, Davidson Figueiredo is the first guy to knock him down. I'm not saying he's got durability issues, but I'm going to bring out my calculator here, okay? Paul's got the stats right in front of him. So Davidson hits him 45 times. Sean O'Malley hits him 230 times. These are only significant strikes. We're not going totals.
Pedro Munoz
hits
low volume usually.
I mean, he can be high volume, but he's got such short arms that it's how's he hit guys? Is 113. Corey Sandhagen hits him 128. Dominic Cruz hits him 92. Rob Font hits him 271. Frankie Edgar hits him 91. 94. Let me scroll down. We've got Davey Grant hits 83. Jose Aldo 44. Sean O'Malley 10. So plus the Song Yadong, that would give you 111. Andre Ewell 50. And I can even just stop there, Paul. I'll just stop. In the last 6 years, he's been hit 1,261 significant times. So although he had never been knocked down before, Figgy knocks him down. It's not like he's going to knock him out or anything. I just mean, now you're seeing a guy that has 35 pro fights in his entire career in the UFC, just in the UFC, his entire career in the UFC. He's been hit 2,000 times, right? 1,600 plus times, I believe the number was. And you can just see where he's slowing down. That ability to just constantly come forward and get in the mix and try to scrap with people. You saw the same thing with Vicente Luque last week. Vicente Luque was known for blood and guts, just wars. Go out there and scrap him and show your heart. The first round against Joel Alvarez, he gets hit a bunch. The second round, he pulls guard. In what universe would he have been like, I don't want to get punched in the face anymore standing. I'm going to pull guard. Crazy. Because he's not the same man anymore. The damage is compounded. So the way to beat Aiemann Zahabi is a prime Chito Vera who dogs him and constantly comes forward and gets in his face and makes it aggressive and tries to mix in takedowns. That man probably has, at least a shot. And as Paul said earlier, if it was a 5-rounder, that man especially, because he's got that dog and that willingness. But at this point, he's not as committed. His wrestling's not good enough to take down Zahabi consistently and definitely not hold him down. And in terms of his striking, if you're not constantly leading the dance and you're not outworking him, you're just going to fall behind on the scorecards. Home cooking or not, Zahabi lives in Montreal. This is in BC. Like, it's like a 46-hour drive from Montreal to over there. Like, but he's Canadian and the crowd is going to be behind him. And so it's not enough to just be in a close-ish fight. You got to definitively win it. And I just don't see him pulling ahead. So Zahabi, the greatest thing about him is that he's high volume, and it also seems like he's doing nothing. It's like, how the hell did he land 100 strikes against Jose Aldo? It didn't look like he was doing anything. I thought Jose Aldo won the fight. But he's so precise. He's very methodical. He very much is a tri-star fighter. He embodies that high ring IQ, high game planning. They would look at Marlon Vera. They would see the numerous holes. And Paul mentioned Marlon Vera's lost the first round in like 75% of his UFC fights. This is what he does. He's fought really bad guys before and still lost the first round on the basis of he's a very slow starter. And now you're fighting out of a hole. You need to win 2 and 3. You need to win rounds 2 and 3. And you're not as willing to press forward. You're not as willing to grit it. You're not as willing to walk into that right hand and say, feed me another one. So I got Zahabi just fighting the good methodical game plan, breaking him down, winning a decision. So Zahabi by decision and the over.
All right, we move on down. We've got Jasmine Jasudavicius taking on Manon Fiorot in what would probably be a title contenders match. Jazz has been saying in like interviews that I've read this week or that I've watched this week, that Manon just went, tit for tat with the champ. So if I win this fight, I deserve a title shot. And I can't really disagree with that sentiment whatsoever. I think this is a tough fight for her, though. Manon Fiorot, historically, great takedown defense. I believe Chev was like 2 for 9 on takedown attempts in their fight. 87% takedown defense over the course of Fiorot's career. Faster on the feet. I guess she's given up a little bit of reach on the outside, but you look for the spots where Jasmine struggles, and it's historically kind of been where she hasn't been able to control, getting takedowns, getting top control, and pounding people out. It's like the Tracy Cortez fight, obviously, the last fight that she really struggled in that department. And she kind of got out-pieced up on, or out-volumed at least at range. Natalia Silva, super, super fast on the feet. So I think she's just we'll find out pretty early, I think, into this fight, whether Jasmine has much of a chance. And I know she's training with a good room now, and there's a whole bunch of, she's talking about all this growth and all the people that she's training with, getting her ready every single week. But I think it's a horrible stylistic matchup for her. Manon Fiorot is the side for me. What about you?
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think everybody in Canada is behind Jasmine Jasudavicius. They love her. She's a star over here, and we'd love to see her get the win here and then get vaulted into a title fight. But yeah, I mean, it's been a hell of a run for Jazz. She's 36 years old, and this is her 10th fight in the UFC, and it's all happened really, really quickly. She got signed to the UFC. She made her debut against Kay Hansen. She was just short of her 33rd birthday, but then she beats Kay Hansen. She fought twice in 2022. She fought 3 times in 2023. She fought 4 times in 2024. This is her 3rd fight of 2025, and it's just been running through these, not even contenders really, but just running through the middle of the division and looking really good doing it. She's very fan friendly. She's got an awesome style. She's got an awesome personality. She trains out of an awesome gym and with Niagara Top Team. Again, it's like fan favorite wise, we're all behind her. But like you said, this is a very, very, very tough matchup against Manon Fiorot, considering Fiorot just presents all these really, really difficult challenges for her. The footwork's better, the striking's better, the takedown defense checks out, the experience level's been a lot higher. When you watch Jasmine Jasudavicius in fights where she's forced to strike, right? Let's say her fight with Ariana Lipski, 3 fights back. Lipski's winning all of the striking exchanges. Jas is able to take her down 3 times. That leads to the win, but she's not looking good on her feet. Maribuena Silva's nearing her 40s now. She's in her late 30s, mid 30s, late 30s. Jazz has those takedowns. She's able to take her down. Her fight with Jessica Andrade, she gets the easy takedown. She smashes her. An easy takedown against Manon Fiorot probably doesn't materialize. This is a girl that, as Paul said, she got taken down twice on 9 attempts by Valentina Shevchenko. But she stuffed all 3 of Erin Blanchfield's. She stuffed all, was it 5 or 6 from Rose Namajunas? 6 from Rose Namajunas. You don't think Rose, former champion, can wrestle? You don't think Erin Blanchfield, one of the top girls in the division, can wrestle? Absolutely. In fact, she took Blanchfield down. She took down Shevchenko. She took down Caitlin Chikagian, OG. This Samara thing always throws me up. Takedowns over Jennifer Maia and Morena Buena Silva herself. Took down Tabitha Ricci, who's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu world champion. All good stuff, really, when you consider that she's not a grappler. Her primary her primary skill is this striking. And yes, just like a Caitlin Chikagian, it's a lot of just touch and go, which is frustrating. You're flat-footed and you want to brawl. You want to point down in the center of the ring and say, let's scrap. Jasmine's got that scrap in her. She's down to scrap it out. Manon's not there in front of you to scrap it out. She punches you in the face with a jab, then she's gone. Then it's a kick, then she's gone. You're constantly chasing her, but you're coming up short. When you look at just by the numbers, Manon Fiorot lands 2 strikes per minute more than Jasmine Jasudavicius. So if you're not taking her down, you're getting it work standing. And in terms of taking her down, like we just already mentioned, she's shown good takedown defense against the upper echelon of the division already. And when Jas can't get those takedowns, she does look like striking is that hole in her game. It's just she looks like $1 million when she's on top of a faded Jessica Andrade. She looks like $1 million when she's taking down a faded Morena Bueno Silva. Against some of those other girls, it might not be enough. So I do agree with Paul. I just feel like that lateral footwork, the speed, the striking, the volume, stuffing the takedowns, and who knows, maybe even catching her off guard and taking her down once. Other examples, if you want to look at Jasmine Jasudavicius, is that Miranda Maverick fight, where Miranda Maverick's winning the striking exchanges. Problem is she keeps shooting the takedown, getting stuffed, reversed, Jas ends up on top, and starts beating her. Her versus Tracy Cortez. Tracy Cortez was the only opponent that's ever thrown high volume against her. She outlands her 103-77. Jas got a couple takedowns in that fight. But Tracy, who's a good grappler, has wrestled herself, doesn't take much damage on the ground, scrambles, gets back up, and goes back to outworking her. In a 5-round fight, although that gives Manon Fiorot more time to work, it would give Jas a couple opportunities to trip her up in the first couple rounds. But in a 3-round fight, I don't know. I just feel like by the time you really get into gear, start to bear down, start to tire her out, finally are able to cut off the cage and grab a hold of her, you're just out of time. So for me, it's a Fiorot pick and Fiorot by decision.
All right, we got Cody Gibson taking on Qileng. I believe Cody Gibson is about a -160 favorite to come back on Qileng +140. Who you got?
Cody Gibson really shouldn't be like a -160 over anybody in the division, but I'm going to roll with my guy here. He's huge for the division, and at 38 years old as a bantamweight, the end is probably getting near. The weight cuts to 135. They ain't going to go so well, but he showed in that last fight with Damon Blackshear that he still got a whole lot of scrap in him. He's a high-volume guy. He wants to just stand directly in front of you, scrap it out in the pocket, likes to just wing hooks, lead with those kicks, and of course, he's got a solid wrestling background, so decent enough in the clinch, and it can wear on opponents. Smart enough guy at 38 years old and with just a lot of experience. He's a smart enough guy that he's able to just kind of drag guys into deep waters if need be, like a Chad Anhledger. I know I have a wrestling advantage. I'm just going to continuously take him down. Against Damon Blackshear, I don't really want to grapple with him, so I'm going to use my striking. Got well-roundedness to him. In his entire career, he's never been knocked out in his entire career. He's a dog. He's a scrapper. Where he lacks where he's always kind of had that hole is against elite competitors, or at least certainly good competitors. They'll trip him up. They'll take him down. They'll outwork him. They'll maybe submit him. Those are what the best guys do. Qileng is not the best guy in really any category. So when you consider what his game is, it's mostly if he can knock you out. He's got some decent power. Although when was the last time he knocked a guy out? Once in the UFC, Cameron Else. So if you're going to be the first guy to ever knock out Cody Gibson and you're not already a very big power puncher yourself, I don't know if that's the plan of victory. Okay, well, let's outwork him. Well, he doesn't really outwork anybody. Like, by the numbers, he was getting outstruck by Jay Perrin 88-72, and he got taken down 3 times. Okay, Aiemann Zahabi knocked him out in a minute. Johnny Munoz just had no game plan. He just took him down 4 times, but really didn't do much with it and then ended up losing. Daniel Marcos was, if you watch that one back, Marcos is kicking his ass. And then he gets poked in the eye, and he's like, I don't want to keep fighting. I'm done with this. Calls it off. Raul Rosas Jr.'s last time he got taken down 3 times. He's not shown me anything in a really long time. His fight with Cody Diorden was super fun. That's 4 years ago. That's 5 years ago, almost.
He was taken down 5 times there, too.
He's taken down 5 times there, which is why he lost the fight, but at least he was winning some bombs against a flyweight. You got Cody Gibson, who's 5'11". He's like he's 5'11", I'm pretty sure, right? Cody Gibson is 5'10". 5'10" with 71 inch reach. He's a big guy. He comes from a high school wrestling, college wrestling background. He's got better volume than you. He is willing to push forward and wing shots. He's never been knocked out. It's going to be a workman type fight where he just outworks Qileng, mixes in a few takedowns if he can. If not, lands some shots. The punches that this guy does land, you got to take them and just keep grinding them away. So although at 38 at this weight class, the writing's on the wall, Paul. This is a very winnable fight for him, and I think he capitalizes here. So Cody on Cody. Let's pull one out for the CODYs and get the victory over in BC. So I will take Gibson.
And this Moreno versus Albazi. That fight was in Edmonton. Cody Gibson, Canadian standout. They bring him over to Canada. He catches dubs. That's what he did against Chad Anheliger.
Who's Canadian? They beat
5 takedowns, grinded. That fight against Anheliger is just like what he has to do here. It's like, don't worry about the crowd. Don't worry about anything like that. Go out there, wrestle, hold control, hold top position. And, he's not taking on a Canadian, so hopefully he doesn't get too much booze that gets the fight stood up. I'm with you. I don't really see myself. I don't see myself whatsoever getting to Qileng. Too low volume. Takedown defense is questionable. Has fought at flyweight. There's a lot of things that just don't really work in his game. Gibson, obviously a little bit long in the tooth for bantamweight, but the path is certainly there. Minus 160. I mean, it's not horrible. Like, I think he probably wins maybe 70% of the time in this matchup. So there could be even meat on the bone on Cody Gibson at this point in the week. Next fight up, we've got Kyle Nelson taking on Matt, the steamroller Frevola. Pretty much a straight pick 'em here. And we were talking about this fight right before we got on. And we're kind of like, that is the fight where if you win a bet on this fight, you're going to look like an absolute genius. If you lose a bet on this fight, you're going to look like a complete moron.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Like both of these guys absolutely love slinging it out in the pocket. Nelson's shown a little bit of wrestling ability in some of his fights, but I don't think that's necessarily going to work against Frevola. Frevola's got some wrestling in his back pocket as well, but like this guy's more of a bonus hunter these days. He comes out, he slings heat. He's looking for that early knockout, that early finish. Gun to my head. That's where I'm at with this one. This one is, I think, properly priced. I think it's straight up a complete pick 'em. Somebody's chin is going to get absolutely cracked, and they're going to get finished. Gun to my head, I'll say Kyle Nelson, but like zero conviction here. Cody, what's your thoughts?
Pretty similar, and I'm going to go the other way. With zero conviction, I'm going to go with Matt Frevola. I'm not an under 1.5 kind of guy, but this looks like an under 1.5 kind of fight. Kyle Nelson's got enough power. Not that he's had a ton of wins by knockout in the UFC. He knocked out Polo Reyes, nasty knockout. His win over Bill Algeo is early. So Bill's still on his feet. Bill's waving him on, saying, let's do it. And the ref stops the fight. Oh, man. So against Matt Frevola, he probably still has enough power to knock him out. And the flip side to that, when Frevola lets his hands go, this guy knocked out Drew Dober. Who, by the way, Drew Dober was also looking at the ref saying, hey, man, what's up? I'm still good to fight. Yeah, it's just like it's chin on chin at this point. They're both getting a little bit long in the tooth by the division standards. They both have taken some damage over the past. But the thing for me is Kyle Nelson's 4-5, 4-5-1 in the UFC. Got the draw with Doo Ho Choi, but let's just talk about the ones that aren't draws. He's 4-5 in the UFC. He's actually 4-2 in the UFC at 145 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
Up above that, he's 0-2. He fought his debut in the UFC against Carlos Diego Ferreira was at 155. He had an okay first round, gassed out in the second, got TKO'd. And he fought Jay Herbert in London, England at 155 pounds. He had an okay first round, no good in the second round. Nothing happened in the third round. Kind of looked to me like he gassed out. His last fight against Steve Garcia, he missed weight, came in at 148 pounds for a 145 fight, and then proceeded to get TKO'd in the first round in a fight that he looked super lethargic in. And now doesn't want to fight at 145 anymore. He missed weight his last time out. He's older. He fights about once a year. He's obviously saying, I want to go back to 155. And so to me, him moving back up to a weight class where he's had virtually no success in the UFC is not good. His wins are him outworking smaller guys. And if you watch some of these fights, Fernando Padilla kicks his ass in the first round. Nelson's busted up. He's bleeding. He's getting tagged with 2-3 punch combinations. In the second and the third round, Padilla slows down. Nelson's able to grind him. Against Doo Ho Choi, he got 5 takedowns. He was able to slow him down. If Doo Ho Choi didn't lose a point for grabbing the cage, Doo Ho Choi wins that fight. But Nelson was able to grind him. Blake Bilder, small guy. Bill Algeo is a 45er. He's been able to he's got enough dog in him and enough grit in him to grit past some guys. Up at 155, that strength, that physicality, that dog that he's got in him, I just think it's like diminished. Frevola, meanwhile, it's like, dude, this guy's chin's all the way gone. Fair, but Faraz Aiemann kneed him in the face. It was like it's a nasty knee to the face. Benoit Saint-Denis kicked him in the head. It's a nasty kick in the head. I will admit, Terrence McKinney one single left cross in 7 seconds. But Terrence McKinney does that to people.
Mm-hmm.
He went the distance with Arman Sarukian. He
Polo
beat Jalen.
Reyes.
Yeah, the Polo Reyes one's pretty bad too. And Lando Venata, that one's a draw, but it's a draw because he got 10-8'd in the first because he got dropped twice in that fight as well. So I'm not saying his chin's all that good, but I met him, Merab Dvalishvili, and Aljamain Sterling all together at a card in Nashville one time. And Merab's a lot smaller than you. Like, he's one of those people, I thought you were bigger because I see you on TV. He's tiny. And Aljamain, he's about what you would think. Matt Frevola is only 5'9". This guy's dense, man. He's a dense dude. No doubt about it. He's explosive. What I don't understand is the beginning of his career, he fights a proper game plan. Hey, man, I train with Aljamain Sterling. I train with Merab Dvalishvili. I train with Matt Serra and the Ray Longo crew. I can grapple. And he can. He took down Jalen Turner 4 times, won a decision. He took down Luis Pena 4 times, won a decision. He went the distance with Arman Sarukian, got taken down 10 times, kept getting back up. His wrestling is good, and he's a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. Then after McKinney knocked him out in 7 seconds, instead of just saying, I'm going to keep with my wrestling, he went YOLO mode. Knocked out Valdez in the first round, knocked out Ottman Azaitar in the first round, knocked out Drew Dober in the first round, and then ran into upper echelon guys in Benoit Saint-Denis and Faraz Aiemann. Against Kyle Nelson, as much as standing and banging could be the way to do it, and if you land on him first, maybe you knock him out. If he lands on you first, maybe he knocks you out. The real key here is take Kyle Nelson down. He's coming up from 145. Between Bill Algeo, Steve Garcia, Fernando Padilla, Blake Bilder, Doo Ho Choi, Jay Herbert, Billy Currantillo, Marco Polo Reyes, Matt Sales, he's not fought any wrestlers. He's not fought any real good grapplers. And when you watch that last fight against Steve Garcia, Steve, he catches a kick on Steve and he takes Steve down and he takes Steve's back. And Steve just turns into him and just starts ground and pounding him and he turtles up and this is it. It wasn't like Steve knocked him out standing, which Steve does to everybody else. It's like Steve just rolls on top of him and hits him a few times and he just curls up. If Matt Frevola just goes and takes you down one single time, and for the record, he took down Faraz Aiemann once in his last fight. He took down Benoit Saint-Denis with a blast double leg, lifted him up off the cage, dumped him. You don't think he can take down a former 145er Kyle Nelson once, put him up against the cage, and unload on his ass? Well, he wouldn't try, but he got knocked out twice in his last 2 fights. Mm-hmm. So I think whoever's coaching him is like, no more CTE, dog. Let's just go and take this guy down who's smaller than you. Technically, he's 2 inches taller than you, but at weigh-ins, you'll see you're more compact. You're a real lightweight. You've worked with Merab. You worked with Aljamain. Do what those
he trains
guys
in Tampa
do.
now, right?
I said he has trained.
Yeah.
And I just thinking that if you want a fun fight where you get separated from your consciousness and you wake up in a hospital somewhere, then be my guest. If you want to go out there and get the takedown, and I think that's the path here, get one takedown at the beginning of the first round, ground and pound this guy, and go home with your 2 paychecks. If he doesn't, it's up to him. Like you said, it's 50-50. They're not trustworthy. I think the size will matter for Frevola. The grappling will matter for Frevola. And he gets it done. His best win is what? Drew Dober. He knocked out Drew Dober, and he also went the distance with Sarukian. What's Kyle Nelson's best win? His best draw, Duho Choi. That's pretty sick. Give him that. I'll give him that. He looked good in that fight. Got 5 takedowns, but it's 4 years ago. He's not been active since. I don't hate the guy. I booked 2 of his fights before he, made it to that next level. He fought Ainsley Robinson. Former Olympian down here. He choked him out with a first-round guillotine choke. Like, I very much like Kyle Nelson. He's got a family. He's got some property. He's got a side job. He's got a side hustle. He's got life is going on. And this fight thing is just kind of cool. They're going to Canada, so they call you and they say, hey, one more for old time's sake at home. And he says, one more old time's sake at home. If he loses this, those gloves are going right in the middle of the cage, I think. But we'll see come Saturday. So, yeah, let's see it. But I'm going to go with Frevola, who probably needs this a lot more.
Fair. I'm not going to argue too hard against that one. I don't really have much conviction on either side there. Next one up, we got Charles Jourdain taking on Davey Grant. Jourdain a minus 172 favorite to come back on Dangerous Davey is plus 147. I mean, Cody, you know me.
I do.
Davey Grant plus money. This guy's always just gonna go out there and fight for your money. He's skilled enough in all facets of the game. I understand, he's my God. He's my age. I'm born in 1985 as well. He's old. He's old, particularly for this division. But like
fine wine.
Nothing is really looking like he doesn't still got it. The volume is high. He can be out grappled with Charles Jourdain. Charles Jourdain at 135. Maybe he's found his division. It'd be interesting to see. I think seeing Charles weigh in at 135 every single time is going to be something you want to watch very, very closely on weigh-ins day, because he's pretty big for the division. But you give me plus money on Davey Grant, I'm not going to waste your time with too much. It's just like a plus 150. I haven't placed a bet yet. I want to see where the market goes at this point. I'm going to have money on Davey Grant on Saturday. And the market will dictate how much I put on it. If they want to put him up to plus 200, I will put more on Davey Grant. I just think he's that guy that puts in honest performance every single time. Very, very rare that you bet Davey Grant and you regret it. Even when he loses, you're like, guy's a dog. Love the guy. Davey Grant is the side for me. What about you?
Yeah, I'm going to go Charles Jourdain on this one. Jump back on Team Canada. I think I faded in the last 2, but I'm back on board, baby. And Charles Jourdain is where we're going. Jourdain's problem mainly is that he wasn't fighting at 135. This dude debuted against Des Green in the UFC at 155. He fought in TKO one time at 155. And then he drops down to 145, where it's they're just able to take him down. His takedown defense is 63%, but his takedown defense is 47%, not very good. And he's given up 4 to Victor Henry, and he gave up Sean Woodson to go down, Ricardo Ramos to come down twice, Nathaniel Wood 5 times, Shane Burgos twice for 11 minutes of control time. Everybody has kind of taken that out against him. The guys that are forced to strike with him quickly realize this guy's got output and volume for days. Not only that, he's very, he's a tricky fighter. It's hard to get a read on him. He's not traditional in the sense that he's going to throw a jab cross and then he's going to put a left hook behind it. And then he's going to go to his low kick because it's Dutch style Muay Thai. No, this guy's throwing flying knees and spinning back fists and spinning back elbows, bunch of leg kicks, variety of strikes. In the clinch, he just loves to throw the knees in clinch right to the body. Victor Henry eventually was like, I don't want to hang off this guy no more because he's long and he's rangy, and that's at 135. So the problem with Davey Grant is he's not taken anybody down in the last 4 years. His style is mostly, if you want to throw volume with him, he's willing to throw down. The guys that he's fighting, he's there to vet lessen them. And that's what he's been doing. Damon Blackshear, you know me, Paul. I'm not high on Damon Blackshear. He's there to get vet lesson, and we both took Davey Grant. That's what he did. Ramon Tavares, this guy's no good. He's like 1-3 in the UFC. He's just a young pup. Guy like Davey Grant beats him all day long. Daniel Marcos, I actually thought Davey Grant probably won that fight.
He definitely won that fight.
But yeah, it was a weird. To be honest, Davey should be on a 6-fight winning streak because I thought he beat Adrian Yanez as well. But those guys are all green prospects that, keeping a close fight with them and getting to a split decision in a fight of the night performance is all good. Against Charles Jourdain at 135, I feel like if you're not taking him down, which Davey doesn't really seem to be doing, then you're going to have, he's down to throw down with you. He's not Damon Blackshear. He's going to tire out. He's not Daniel Marcos. He's only going to throw 40. The only time I've ever seen him gun shy and unwilling to throw punches was the Sean Woodson fight. But Sean Woodson has a 9-inch reach advantage on him. So at 135, you should still see a much better version. This is a guy that was out there scrapping it with John Silva, took him down 3 times. John Silva, not an easy guy to take down, and Charles at least was able to mix that in. I think he's well-rounded. I think he's got a game all over. We saw his brother Louis on the Contender Series this season, and he looked phenomenal. They're doing great things, and Louis has found the weight class that's best for him. Charles seems to have found the weight class for best for him. They're both 135ers. He's getting world-class work in. But I will leave you with this. Paul's absolutely right about the weigh-ins thing. Charles only made 135 once, and it was in that fight against Victor Henry. Prior to that, Charles used to fight 2-3 times a year. He liked to stay active. He's not fought in 11 months after he smoked Victor Henry. Why would that be? Why would you have a career best performance and then take 11 months off? It's like he's got a bunch of injuries, and the weight cuts to 135 cause those injuries to start to flare up. And so you might not get a 100% version of him. And the thing with fighting Davey Grant is you need to be ready to go. Because the only reason Davey wins is he fights guys that it's like, hey, we're working a 12-hour shift today. And look at Davey. Davey showed up with a lunch. Oh, Davey brought a lunch from home. So yeah, but it's a 12-hour shift today. It's like, oh, no. By the 8-hour mark, everyone else is done. Davey works right through because he brought the lunch from home. If you show up injured with a bad weight cut, trying to make 135, even though you're too big, used to fight at 55, most of your career's at 145, you're getting older, the weight cut's not good, you got a couple injuries. Davey's the wrong guy to be a favorite over with unideal circumstances. So I don't fault you one bit. I've made a lot of good.
I bet him every single fight. He's like plus money.
But he's like your Vince Pichel. You can be on the right side of this guy, but you still got to identify the few times he's going to lose. And to me, I feel like he loses this one. So I'm going to take Charles. Plus some home cooking.
Let's go.
Even though one guy's from Quebec and one guy's from Alberta. And if you look at politics, people from Alberta subsidize the people from Quebec pretty heavily, and they do not like them. But it's not like it's local judges for this. It's the same crap judges the UFC parades around with them everywhere. So I wouldn't worry
Alberta? What? Who's from
Sorry,
Alberta?
BC. Yeah, sorry, BC.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess BC doesn't hate Quebec. That's an Alberta thing. I don't know what.
No. I don't know. I feel like Quebec hates all of us.
Except
for Jan Larson in the Discord. He likes us now,
yeah, there's a couple good
like
guys. Jan. Yeah, Jan's a solid guy. I'm glad he's in there. Shout out to Jan. But yeah, I think Team Canada squeaks this one out. You got Grant plus money. I like that look, but I just couldn't come to it personally. Watch for weigh-ins. That's the main thing here, people. Yeah,
my experience with French Canadians is that they hate you at first, but then like eventually they're like, this Anglophone's not so bad. Yeah, it takes a little bit of time. You got to crack through that deep, long-term hate that has been built up from, basically since the French and the English went at it many, many years ago. Anyway, that's my history lesson for today. We move on to the next fight. We got Bruno Silva taking on Hyun Sung Park. Hyun Sung Park is a minus 255 favorite to come back on Bruno Silva, plus 215. Market really gives this Hyun Sung Park guy a lot of credit. Now, I did get caught speeding trying to fade him against Carlos Hernandez. And, Carlos Hernandez's submission skills had been historically quite good. And he got subbed in the first round. So I'm obviously underestimating this guy to a degree. But knocking down Shannon Ross 2 times, getting Shannon Ross 9 minutes into a fight, I don't think this guy's power is anything special. A lot of his roads to the UFC fights. I mean, he was knocked down by Sung Yuk Choi. Not a great look. He was like borderline. I have to look at the exact price, but like we cashed bigly on Tyra against Sung Park because like the market just absolutely loved Park, who's coming in on super short notice. Like none of it really. I guess he was plus 260. Either way, the market like it was a lot. And he got absolutely sparked. Yeah. There was a lot of sharp bettors. You know, a lot of people in the community that were backing this Park guy. Anytime I watch tape on him, I just don't really see an elite prospect here by any stretch of the imagination. I'm sure he's got some size advantage here. But Bruno Silva, credit where credit's due. This guy's just a dog on a boat. He is going to come forward and, he's had third round KO losses against two of the division's absolute elite at this point. He's getting no volumes. He's getting outworked, out damaged, everything like that. But he's never getting out hustled. The guy is going to come forward unless you absolutely kill him. I don't know if I can say the same thing for Park. So, flyweight fight plus 215. It's dogger pass for me. What about you?
Yeah, I'm on the exact same boat. Bruno Santos is one of those guys that overperforms. So if you can get him at dog money, he's going to fight for your dollar. It's a flyweight fight. Stylistically, I think he matches up with them pretty good. Yeah, Paul mentioned when you look at the road to UFC, right? So Topnoy Kerwan drops him, right? But he bails himself out with the takedown. Otherwise, Topnoy was outstriking him 22-4, had a knockdown, but he gets a quick takedown and he subs him. Then against Sung Guk Choi, the fight that Paul referenced, Choi also knocks him down, but he gets a quick little takedown to bail himself out. Against Shannon Ross, if you watch the second round, although he knocked Shannon Ross out in the second round, Shannon Ross is beating him to it, man. He's taking it to him. He's landing a bunch of shots. If you look at the per round for that fight, Shannon Ross is outstriking him 31-26 in the second round prior to getting knocked out. Choi looked awful. His striking's not good. His durability's not good. But he's got this get-out-of-jail-free card with his takedowns. And so with Carlos Hernandez, he took him down. And then Tatsuya Taira gets vaulted into a main event status. And Tatsuya Taira also knocks him down. So even though he eventually subs him with the face crank, guy's been knocked down by Taira, knocked out by Choi, knocked down by Kerwam. I don't think his durability is that good. He's super low volume. He only lands... I guess you'd have to look at, I don't know, some of them are misleading. Shannon Ross, he landed 50 through less than 2 rounds, but it's Shannon Ross. Against Choi, it makes it into the 30. It landed 38. Against Kerwam, at the time of the stoppage, he landed 4. Against Saragari, it landed 30. I guess that's just still a one-rounder. I don't think he's high volume. I think that he does have some good physicality. He does have some good grappling. He does have some decent wrestling, some decent grappling. But outside of that, he's just fairly one-dimensional. He's not overly young. He's not a prospect I think is getting marginally better. You can take the guy down. You can outstrike him. The thing with Bruno Silva is that Bruno Silva started off really not all that good. Lost to Khalid Taha at 135 in his debut. Khalid Taha tested positive for steroids, so it's a no contest. But at some point, he loses his first 3 fights in the UFC, but he moved out to Arizona to train with Henry Cejudo and train with the Pitbull brothers, Patricio and Patricky. And although he doesn't train with those guys anymore, he spent a lot of time down there. And this guy just became a good training partner. And as such, just a scrappy fighter. Against Tagir Ulanbekov, he outstruck him. He took him down 4 times. He got taken down 5 times. He gave him everything he could handle as a massive underdog. Against JP Buys, knocked him down 3 times, took him out in the second. Victor Rodriguez knocked him down, knocked him out. Tyson Nam knocked him down, took his back, choked him out. Cody Diorden knocked him out. His last 2 losses are to Manel Kopp and Josh Van, who are both top 5 flyweights. So, and he made it to the 3rd round in both of those fights. This guy's your quintessential dog on a bone, as Paul Shaughnessy said. I completely agree. He's there to fight for your dollar. He's a big underdog. It's a flyweight fight. How does Park win this fight? Well, he takes him down because stand up. Bruno's knocked out Diorden, dropped Tyson Nam, took out JP Buys, took out Victor Rodriguez. He's got more than enough power to knock down and hurt Park.
And went 15 minutes with Tagir. So like Tagir was able to take him down 5 times. Obviously, he took him down 4 times as well. But it's like he's able to scramble. So like the submission game doesn't worry me nearly as much in this spot. Like I think it's a really good spot.
Only 2 people have ever taken him down in the UFC. Tagir, who, as Paul said, took him 5 times on 11 attempts and only got less than 4 minutes of control time. And then Cody Diorden took him down. Cody Durden's a former state champion, and he got 2.5 minutes. And then Bruno gets back up and starts putting some vicious punishment on him. That right hand corked over the top. Against Manel Kopp, Manel Kopp's very fast. He's very dynamic. He's an excellent striker who's hard to get a hold of. It's a bad style clash. Against Josh Van. Josh Van's very fast. He's an elite striker, but he Van dropped him twice, and you could see he's still got his heart. He's still got his wits about him. He's still trying to persevere. And then by the third one, they're like, "We're going to call this one off," and that's against a guy that might be within title contention in the next fight or two. Against Manel Kopp, they've been trying to give Manel Kopp a title fight. His body just won't hold up. That's the upper echelon guys. Park lasted a round and a half against Tatsuya Taira, who's very good, but Taira knocked him down. And when he was on road to the UFC, they were knocking him down. And yet win over Carlos Hernandez doesn't pale. It pales in comparison with the body of work that Bruno's had. So I truly believe that there's so many fights happening every weekend, and there's a 14-fight UFC card, and there's a 13-fight UFC card, and there's a BFL card, and there's a Unified MMA, and then there's a Cage Warriors, and then there's an LFA, and then there's a CFFC. There's just so much going on all the time. I think they thought this was the Bruno Silva who's real sad, who's been losing all these fights lately, because there's no way that my boy Bruno
He's at
Silva.
185.
I'm just joking, Paul. I'm just saying there's no way that this Bruno Silva should be this big of an underdog. If it was the other one, it's like, oh yeah, give me whatever price to fade him. I'm in.
In fairness, I suppose it did open at minus 300. So there has been a little bit of action on Bruno Silva, but like I don't think it's enough. I don't think it's enough. I think this fight's way closer. This fight may be a pick. This fight may be a pick.
I agree.
Maybe we're missing something. I don't know, though. I think we've seen much more from the body of work of Bruno Silva. The market just really respects Park. Maybe the market's right. But historically, they like the bookmakers, everybody respects the hell out of this Park guy. But I just don't see it anytime I watch it on tape.
No, you know how I see it? That last fight with Josh Van, Silva was a plus 500 underdog. His fight before that with Manel Kopp, he's a plus 310 underdog. Yeah. This fight with Park, he's coming in as a plus 200 underdog. I think the market undervalues him all the time. That this guy's not good. And you want definition of fight for your dollar, it's him. So I'm glad that you are on the same page as me there, because I feel like he's one of the dogs that would add a lot of value this week if he could come through.
All right, moving on down, we got Danny Barlow taking on Jordan Ribeiro, Jordan Santos. Barlow moving up to 185 pounds for this fight. That's a real big wrinkle in this whole situation. So this is fight, I believe, is at middleweight. Jordan Santos coming off of a contentious split decision loss last time out against Ozzy Diaz. Wasn't a great look by any stretch of the imagination. Here's the thing with Danny. And I'm going to pick, me, love dogs. I'm going to pick another dog here. One, Santos trains at ATT. I think there's lots of bodies that he can work with on a day-to-day basis that are comparable to Danny Barlow. Two, Barlow's been fighting at 170. I don't know if that power is going to translate up to 185 pounds now all of a sudden. Varetnikov, like 50 significant strikes. He looked absolutely horrible in that spot. Moving on up to 185 pounds. We've talked about a million times. That's the first division where it's 15 pounds from one to the other. It's tough to pack on all that muscle, that extra girth, that extra size when you're making that move. All is to say that, like, at minus 300, I just can't trust Danny Barlow, one, because a lot of his win equity seems to come out of him getting knockouts. And, he got his absolutely throttled against Sam Patterson in the first round. Not a bad loss. Patterson's definitely solid, but definitely a big question mark when thinking about laying a minus 300 on somebody. Volume's just never really been there for him, and plus 250 on an underdog who's been fighting at this division, and in his proper UFC debut put up 131 significant strikes. He got hit a whole ton, don't get me wrong, but at least he still got to that final bell. 131 significant strikes. If you're able to land 100 significant strikes against Danny Barlow as a plus 250 underdog, I think you're going to have a pretty good chance of winning this fight. So I'm going with the dog here, Jourdain Santos. Your thoughts?
I got Jourdain Santos is actually the PRP pick because I can see him losing, I'm sure. But for the price, oh man, this guy's definitely the value side here, and I think he can squeak it out as well. I'm a big Danny Barlow fan, but the whole thing on Danny Barlow is southpaw with a big power in that left hand. You saw him in the Contender Series, gets a quick knockout. He comes to the UFC, and I've just not been impressed since then. The fight with Josh Quinlan, he did get a knockout in the third round, but the first 2 rounds, he just looks like he's only got the one weapon. He's not really mixing it in. He doesn't really have other intangibles. He just tries to line you up for that one shot. Although he won against Josh Quinlan, he just really, to me, didn't really seem like he had a ton. By the third round, you can tell he's visibly tired, but hey, it's his UFC debut. Let's give him a pass. The fight with Veritnikov, as Paul referenced, he looked like crap, and he did. But he missed weight for that fight, came in at 173. Apparently, he was ill all of fight week, still showed up. First round, he looks okay. Second round, he does nothing. Third round, he is absolutely gassed and loses a split. You could call it a bad weight cut. You could call it fight week illness. But, he did not look good there. And then his last fight against Sam Patterson, my boy. I called this one. Sam Patterson's also really big. He's really tall. But a year prior to this fight, Sam Patterson was fighting at 155 pounds. Those are just the facts. Patterson was fighting as a lightweight. And
big lightweight. In fairness,
he's like 6'3". He's like, no. There's a reason he doesn't fight at lightweight anymore is because he can't take a punch at 155. He's cutting too much weight. At 170, he filled out. Barlow might be the same. Maybe going to 185 will be a good move for him. He's 6'2". He's got a 79-inch reach, but being 6'2", the 79-inch reach at 170, that makes you special. That makes you different. At 185, there's most of the division is around that 6'2". 79-inch reach is still big. But I just don't know that he'll be as effective. He's a 3-1 favorite on the basis of he's big and he has power. Well, at 185, he'll be less big and he's going to have less power. So the 3-1 I don't like. His last fight obviously got knocked out. The fight prior, he was ill but looked awful. The fight prior against Quinlan, I know he knocked him out in the third round. I know by the numbers, 95-39. Watch the fight back. Not impressive. And the fight before that, he wins on the Contender Series against Raheem Forrest. And I bring this one up because, as Paul mentioned, Jourdain Santos is training at American Top Team. Okay, Barlow is training with Raheem Forrest in Memphis. They decided to link up and train together now because it's like, hey, man, we're both quality guys and there's nobody else around. That's going to get you in trouble. You need to spread your wings and fly. The law school in Memphis is a fine school. Brian Law is a Bellator veteran, but you have no bodies. You have nobody that's going to push you to the next level. You're just a big fish in a small pond. And that got him to an undefeated record. But you see, as they start to give him gradually better level of competition, the performances aren't exceedingly well. They're not going exceedingly well. He's not jumping up. He's not adding nothing to his game. So now you can blame all of that on the bad weight cuts, and this is his first fight at 185, but I'm not loving it. By comparison, Jourdain Santos is 2 years younger than Danny Barlow. And although when he fights, it's a little sloppy. It's not tight. It's not technical. Barlow is hands down a better striker in that he's tight, he's compact, he's straight with his punches. But he's a little bit lower volume as a result of waiting for that big left hand all the time. Whereas Jourdain Santos, he's just a go-getter. It's sloppy, but it's tons of volume. Against Will Curry, he stuffed the majority of the takedowns. He broke this man's spirit. By the third round, he's tired, but there's a lot of exertion going on. The fight with Ozzy Diaz, I thought he got robbed. He's going forward the entire time swinging. He's only 27. He's clearly making improvements. He can take one heck of a punch. He might also be able to mix in a takedown over Danny Barlow, who's not been forced to wrestle against anybody. I just feel like there's ways to outwork this guy. There's ways to maybe even just, if you land 100 punches, maybe he goes down. If you land 100 punches, maybe the judges give it to you. There's a lot of ways for him to squeak this thing out. And being that they are on neutral territory in Canada, there's no edge here for Danny Barlow to do a bare minimum and win. He's going to have to go for it, which I feel like is what Jourdain Santos is going to be doing. So this one's one of the tough fights that when you watch tape on, you're like, oh, Barlow's so much more athletic and probably does hit harder and probably is a better striker in what's going to be a striker versus striker match. But it's the willingness, it's the grit, it's the volume, it's the constantly coming forward, it's the being in better shape, it's the training with better guys on the day-to-day. Those swing it in Santos's favor, especially because with his dog money. So we're in agreement.
Yeah, maybe Santos charges forward, runs into the left hand of God or left hand to God. Like, that's definitely in play, but at least Santos hasn't been knocked out in his career at this point in his career. He's taking a hell of a punch. I mean, I think that pressure is going to break him. So plus 250, I think you can do a hell of a lot worse than taking a dog shot on Jordan Santos. I certainly will be. Moving on down, we got Drew Dober taking on Kyle Prepolec. Minus 550 for Dober. The comeback on Prepolec plus 400. Who you got?
Like, I would take Drew Dober, but I obviously missed the line because this thing, what was it? It's sitting at like 350 not that long ago. Has there been whack
Opened
line
up at
movement on
minus
this thing?
300. You know how that is.
But
It's
did
like,
that last?
are you really
no
like?
time? Did that
Sure,
last
that
not at
opened up
all?
at it was October 5th. And it was 360 October 5th. Dude, ever since you would have been able to parlay this thing, I guarantee it's been minus 550, minus 500.
Yeah, I'm like, okay. I still
So like that
probably
minus
have
300
them.
didn't really exist. At least I bet online.
Yeah.
When did it open up at these other books? Because like I know you're
This would
not
be their
betting.
pie
You're never betting a minus 300 straight, $300 to win
No.
100. You're
I just
not doing that to the
when I
markets. I
was
don't know if that's
when I was looking at the lines and doing my tape research, when I looked at the line, it said it was minus 350, and I was like, oh, okay, it's minus 350. Now it's minus 550.
It's
Again,
been minus 550 the entire time.
the entire time. Well, since October 5th.
October 11th.
October 11th is when it started.
So 4 days ago
is
when it popped from minus 450 down to minus 550. It popped back up to minus 500 for a little bit, and now it's back to minus 550.
Yeah, I just don't think you can trust Drew Dober at this price. I think he's the better fighter, but the facts are Manuel Torres knocked him out in the first round of his last fight. John Silva didn't knock him out, but busts him up that he gets a cut stoppage. Before that, Matt Frevola knocks him out in the first round. Bobby Green was absolutely whipping him pillar to post before he caught him. Terrence McKinney knocked him down hard before Dober came back up. And Brad Riddell would have knocked him out if there was 2 seconds left in that fight, because right at the buzzer, Dober hits the deck. So his chin, although Paul and I have just marveled at this thing as the 9th wonder of the world for so many years, that it's built for combat. It's compact. This guy can take one hell of a punt. Yeah, is that he can get busted. He's also a little bit short for the weight class. He's got, I wouldn't say he's 5'8" with a 70-inch reach. It's not like it's the short reach, but he seems to just have to constantly fight in the pocket. Never fights at range. And in the pocket is where you're absorbing a lot of damage. So the chin's starting to go, then you can't definitively say Dober's going to just dog walk this guy and knock him out. And Dober will have his way with him. Dober also, I thought about it. Why doesn't Dober just take him down? Well, it's just not really who he is. He does have one takedown over Renato Moicano, and that's quite literally the only takedown he's had in the last 3 years, 7 fights. So if he's going to just stand and bang with Kyle Prepolec, well, then you're giving at least Kyle Prepolec a chance to just stiff you with one. Kyle's got nothing to lose. He's 0-3 over 2 stints in the UFC. But the one thing about him is he's a good striker. There's a reason Benoit Saint Denis kept taking him down. He was beating Benoit Saint Denis in the striking exchanges. Before getting back in the UFC, he's got a string of 3 wins over 3 straight bum opponents by first-round knockout. He is a good striker. He's got a good head kick. He's a southpaw himself. He's got a good straight left down the middle. He switches stances. Even though he's a little bit older, he keeps himself in excellent shape. And the one thing about Kyle Prepolec, he's never had a full camp before. His fights are always short notice or short notice replacements, and he's got to go to the U.S., and he's got to stay in a hotel and fight some guy that's from the area. And this is finally a fight where he's at a full training camp at home in theory, not necessarily. He's from Windsor and this is in BC, but it's just more favorable circumstances for him that if he's going to win a fight, it would be this one. And how does he win it? Drew Dober comes at him recklessly, trying to make this a striking fight, and you catch him with one and knock him out. For the record, Prepolec has never been knocked out in his career.
Yeah,
sub 3 times, but his durability is pretty good. So if you just want to get in a 15-minute punchy kicky with him, he might have more durability than you. He also has not enough power to knock out Drew Dober 3 years ago. Drew Dober 3 years ago walks right through this guy's stuff, just like Earl walked right through the restraining order. This version of him ain't walking through nothing, man. I mean, I have a problem betting him at minus 550, considering his game plan is charge forward and outwork a guy who's also a striker looking to strike and probably can take a better punch at this stage of the game. So full camp Kyle Prepolec could actually look a lot better than what you saw in the last fight with Benoit Saint Denis. Benoit can wrestle. That's something that Dober can't do, obviously, on the same level. So he's a totally live underdog. Because it's minus 550. I now need to apologize to everybody at home when I went on record. And I said that Jordan Santos was the PRP pick. Kyle Prepolec is the PRP pick. Let's go. And I'll have some idiot in my DMs telling me what a stupid pick it is. But betting minus 550 on Drew Dober at this stage of his career, I feel like that's what's irresponsible. And I want to get away from that kind of stuff. So I will take Kyle Prepolec, and it is all the way at the bottom. I'm literally just chasing value more than I think he legitimately wins. I think he wins more often than not at this price. So if you're a price guy or value boy, you'll understand. If you're someone that only makes picks based on who you think wins the one singular fight, I don't know, do what you want. But Prepolec's
you should always chase value.
Yeah, no, of course.
And the value side is Kyle Prepolec. You rhymed off all the things. Whether he wins or loses, I don't have a crystal ball. I don't really know, but Dober's durability has started to become a little bit of a question. It's been against higher level of competition. Kyle Prepolec hasn't been knocked out. It's risky business for Drew to just come in here, just slang, just absolutely throw and bang it out. Definitely can totally win. He's definitely a rightful favorite. Would I feel comfortable attaching my entire UFC card for parlays and stuff like that to Dober at this stage in his career at minus 550? No, I wouldn't. So dog or pass. I'll have a little bit on Prepolec. I don't feel too much conviction there, but we'll see where the market goes, and I'm sure I'll have some money on Kyle Prepolec on Saturday. We got Stephanie Luciano taking on Ravena Oliveira, minus 280 for Luciano to come back on Oliveira, plus 240. Your thoughts?
Well, this one's just weird because one, it's women's MMA, so I don't want to be betting a big price tag, which it is, and I am picking Luciano. But we've talked about a number of fights on this card, whether it be, Danny Barlow is moving up a weight class, and Kyle Nelson is moving up a weight class. Ravena Oliveira is moving down 2 weight classes. Her fight with Tainara Losboa is at 135. Then she was supposed to fight Shauna Bannon. Woof. At 115, but she pulled out. You'd have to have like a broken femur to pull out of a Shauna Bannon fight. Like, you'd have to be on your deathbed and the doctor's like, no way, man, you can't do this. Because otherwise, I don't know why you'd pull out of that fight. But the fact that against Tainara Losboa, she looks strong. This girl's strong and she can shoot. She's got no real volume on top. She's got really no striking behind her. It's just a lot of clinch work, but she's fighting at 135 pounds. And now she's dropping down to 115 pounds. If she comes out here and is just all of a sudden very strong and very physical and able to kind of get that clinch going and score takedowns, it's going to be a problem. Stephanie Luciano, I think she wins this fight. I think she's making some improvements. I like that she's high volume. I like that she stands a little upright, but she really pumps out the jab. She pumps out the kicks. Her debut against Talita Alencar on the Contender Series, she loses the first 2 rounds, gets taken down, gets controlled. 3rd round, cardio checks out, just puts on a bunch of damage, scores a 10-8 3rd round. Her UFC debut, they run back the exact same fight. They fought in September, then they fight August 10th. It's like 3 weeks later. Or not 3 weeks later, sorry. It's the same fight from Contender Series on the UFC. It's a year later, my apologies.
Yeah.
But the same fight a year later, she stuffs, I think, all of them. One of 10 takedowns Alencar got for 38 seconds. Her debut against Alencar, the first fight in Contender Series, she had been taken down 4 times on 24 attempts for 6.5 minutes. The second time they fight, you can barely take her down, and you cannot hold her down. That, to me, is somebody that's making improvements to the ground game. The striking was already good. It's all about just putting it all together. The thing is, she runs into just an absolute dog, a warrior in Sam Hughes. And Sam Hughes is able to just grind her, get takedowns. Again, it's 3 takedowns, but it's 3 takedowns on 8 attempts. And we all know how serviceable Sam Hughes is. She just, constantly grinds on you. Against Oliveira, the problem with Oliveira is when she gets takedowns, she doesn't really do anything with it. She doesn't land ground and pound. Standing, she doesn't really land any strikes. So against Luciano, the way to win would be just lay and pray. I can get takedowns and I can hold her down. That doesn't work anymore in 2025. It did in the mid-2000s. Yeah, now you get stood up and just they're looking for damage. So there used to be a time where it was like, oh man, this person's getting lit up. Oh man, the first 3 minutes of the round, they're getting lit up. And then they take the person down and hold them for 2 minutes. And the judges would automatically just be like, ended the round on top, got a takedown. That guy won. without looking into this guy's getting busted up on the feet. Now it's that. So I feel like even if Luciano does get taken down, it'd be the same thing as the Alencar fight. She's just going to double her up. It's the same thing with Sam Hughes. She's winning the striking exchanges, but Sam Hughes is gritting some takedowns out. Oliveira now has to drop 2 weight classes, so watch out for weigh-ins. But on top of that, if you're losing striking exchanges, getting takedowns and not doing anything with them, I think it ends up being problematic. Stefan Luciano, in many ways, kind of does have a similar-ish style to Tainara Lisboa, albeit a lot smaller. And I think that same style will still give her problems, and she'll still lose the fight. But it's a wide line, considering one girl's going to look completely different than the last time you saw her. And we're only basing this on the last time we saw her. So she's still only 28. She may have made improvements. She's fighting at a natural weight class. Could make a difference, but she pulled out of a Sean O'Bannon fight, so obviously she's got no real skills. I'm going to go with Stephanie Luciano, but I don't feel good about this one. CF dot model players are in play, and I really do want to wait for weigh-ins before I make a final decision. But for me, for now, it's Stephanie Lucky Luciano.
Yeah, let's wait for Ravena Oliveira to step on the scales, see what she looks like at strawweight before we do anything too crazy here. But I agree with all the same sentiments. And let Luciano go out there against Sam Page. But like Sam Page,
it's tough.
Talk about dog on a bone. Sam Page is significantly harder fight, I think, at least. Unless Ravena Oliveira 115 is some sort of absolute legend. We'll see. But Luciano, for volume, striking ability, everything like that, is going to be the pick for me as well. And even that fight at 135 pounds, while it is against Lisboa, who we'll talk about a little bit later, while getting that takedown, especially in round 2, she got like the takedown, was able to hold top control for a little bit there. I mean, I feel like, Lisboa fights at 125 now. So it's like it was an undersized 135 pounder fighting at 125. But then on top of that, it was a kickboxer, not exactly a great grappler. So I'm not all that impressed by it. And she still damn well lost the fight and got taken down 3 times in her own right. So if she gets stuffed, she's going to be getting quadrupled up on significant strikes. I'm always for the CF dot model, but Luciano is going to be the pick for me in this fight. Moving on down, we've got Azamat Bekoev taking on Yusri Balagrui, minus 280 for Bekoev. Yusri can be had 4+ 240. Probably a significant size disparity here. I wonder where this market's going to go as the week goes along. Usually 6'5" kickboxer. I think he could probably be exploited pretty heavily in the grappling department. Bekoev's just been kind of lighting dudes up on the feet, but my God, he's got some pop in his hands. I like Bekoev here. I think Usury's kind of fraudulent, but it's a weird, because of the size, everything like that. It's just one of those fights that's like maybe Bekoev struggles a little bit to break distance in this fight, but you got to trust some favorites, and Bekoev is going to be one that I've put some trust in this week. What about you?
Man, I went back and forth on this one, but I think I'm going to end up with Bekoev. And it's like you said, we got to trust some of these favorites. You can't just fade all of them. But Bekoev is like fade worthy to me. The thing with Yusri Balguri is when you look at him on paper, what's there not to like? He's 6'5". He's got a 79-inch reach. It's like, okay, well, what about his, what are his accolades? He's a former multiple-time kickboxing champion. He fought Israel Adesanya twice, one time to a split decision. He fought Alex Pereira 3 times, beat Alex Pereira once. He fought Donovan Weiss, the current Glory champion, twice. This guy had a really good kickboxing career. He's tall, he's long. Then he calls up his buddy Alex Pereira and says, hey, man, I see what you're doing in MMA. I want to transition over. I want to do the same thing. Alex says, hey, why don't you come down to Danbury, Connecticut and train with me and Glover Teixeira? And that's where he's been. So when you got a guy that's got this kind of proportions, a world-class kickboxing background, has fought Izzy twice and fought Pereira 3 times and fought Donovan Weiss twice. He's been there and done that there. If you can give him a sprawl and brawl game, if you can give him some grappling skills, yeah, I think he's going to be an absolute problem. He debuted on the Contender Series in 2023 against Marco Tullio, who ended up being pretty good for the record. Tullio's not terrible, but But yeah, Marco Tulio just takes him down a couple times. This guy's obviously got no grappling. Since then, he's gone to the regional scene. He's won 3 in a row. Back on the Contender Series, beats Taga Awasaki. And for whatever reason, the UFC didn't sign him. Dana was like, even though you finished a guy on the Contender Series, it's basically a free contract. He's like, I didn't really like your killer instinct. You're waiting too long. I didn't like the killer instinct. This guy could have been out of there in the second, and you waited too long. But I just see that as being patient. He's 6'5". He's got all the length in the world. Why would he have to bum rush you in the pocket and throw down? Because that's what Dana wants to see on the Contender Series. Outside of that, in a big cage, this guy's capable of being very methodical. The problem is when you see him about how's he match up with Bekoev. Well, Bekoev's Russian and can wrestle, and he will likely take him down. And Yuzuri's not going to be able to get back up, or he'll be losing rounds in the judges' opinions, and we're going to lose this fight. So why would you want him? But it's that same type of unknown about Alex Pereira. Alex Pereira can't wrestle. Let's just take him down. He trains with Glover. He trains with good guys. He's made the improvements. The first time you saw Yuzuri on the Contender Series, it's 2 years ago, and he loses. Then they brought him back to the Contender Series last year, and he won. Now it's been a full year. His skills are continuously getting better. He has most definitely a striking advantage over Azamat Bekoev. So the path of victory is there. You just got to keep it standing. It's can he keep it standing? Bekoev, meanwhile, it's really weird. His last couple, he's telling everyone, I'm the anti-wrestler. I'm the anti-wrestler. Give me the Torrance Finneys. Give me these guys that want to wrestle. I'll stop the shots and knock them out. But when he's not fighting wrestlers that cannot strike, he's trying to get the shots going because his strike is not good. I know we've referenced it lots, but the Dylan Butka fight. So I rewatched it.
Horrible.
And I decided to rewatch it again, as I always do every time we talk about Bekoev. Dylan Butka outstrikes him clean in the second round and knocks him down with the right hand in the third round. Bekoev's striking is not good. He's this gassed up middleweight, and when he grabs a hold of you, he's able to trip you up. Lucas Fernando gave him some trouble. Chauncey Foxworth took him down. And then all of a sudden he lands in the UFC and he knocks out Zach Reese and he knocks out Ryan Loder, and now he's everybody's baby. I think his striking is there to get exposed. His wrestling is really not all that good. He trains at ATT. He gets good work in. He's a Russian. He's still only 29. He's possibly lying about being 29. He seems older to me. At minus 175, at minus 160, at minus 185, here's the pick for me. At minus 300, it really does make me wonder. So
yeah, we'll see where the market goes on this one, because this is one of those fights that Bekoev may become. It seems like there's a little bit of action for all the points that you kind of were discussing there. A little bit of action coming, opened up super wide, but there's been some price action to push Balagri down a little bit. Then you're gonna have weigh-ins on Friday. The picture of one guy being 5 inches taller is gonna circulate. People love tall guys. Women love tall guys, but fight bettors love height. They love, look how much bigger this guy is. So I wouldn't load up Bekoev into parlays at this point in the week. I wouldn't be surprised to see him go off closer to minus 220, minus 230, stuff like that. Patience for me, at least on this line.
If I could get a better line, I'd take a poke. But at this line, I just feel like I'm really asking for it. You know what? I mean, no one knows it better than me. But you wake up on Sunday morning and you're sitting there thinking about the bad decisions you made. And this would be one of them where you'd be like, when the hell did I parlay Bekoev with everybody? What would I possibly be thinking? And so, yeah, if I had the cojones, I would outright take Belgauri, but I honestly think the only reason you take him is theory. Well, he trains with Glover and he trains with Alex, and those guys have made improvements, and those guys can grapple, and surely he can too. But if Bekoev just takes him down a few times, everyone's gonna laugh at me and be like, I can't believe you thought this guy was gonna out wrestle a Russian. It's yeah, I suppose you guys are right on that. So
there's 10 other fights this week, or 10 other fight cards this week,
you can pass on this thing and not feel bad about it.
So I think getting to the point of am I gonna let Azamat Bekoev ruin my week? Absolutely not. He'll work his way into some parlay stuff though for me.
Oh,
Um,
the last they were supposed to fight, right? You look on, I'm on Tapology, but you can see he's supposed to fight Yusri Balgari, and he's a minus 385 favorite. But Balgari pulls out with visa issues. This time he's like minus 275 favorite. So he's 115 points less than the last time. And it wasn't like it was an injury. I think it was just a visa
there was
issue.
action coming in probably. So then the books take note of that type of stuff,
Yeah,
and they go, okay, well, these sharp accounts are betting the underdog early on in the week, so they know to adapt.
Imagine just explaining it to one of these guys that don't care about the fights, they just care about the numbers. And it's like, well, is Bekoev going to outstrike this guy? It's like, dude, he was getting beat up standing by Dylan Butka. And it's like, oh, but his wrestling's just way too good. He's just going to take him down. It's like, he was kind of getting out wrestled by Chauncey Foxworth. And it's like, oh, but he's undefeated in the UFC. He's been crushing everybody. It's like, yeah, but they're quick finishes over Zach Reese and Ryan Loader. Like, it's another one of these. It looks good. It's easy to say, oh, he's EV and he's Russian, American top team, big win streak, former LFA champ. Take my money. And the books are very willing to take your money if you let them. So, yeah, maybe just play that one sparingly, unless you got a hard lean on it. I don't. I think Usuri could be the guy that comes in here and shits in that apple pie and just ruins your night if you're on the Bekoev side. So I don't know. I'll just try to not have a ton of exposure if I can avoid it.
Finally, we got Croden taking on Lisboa. Melissa the Scarecrow in a minus 125 favorite. Come back on Lisboa plus 105. Croden, Canadian, has like 6-2 record. He's fought some decent opponents. Lost to Jacqueline Cavalcante in LFA. She's been fighting in LFA, so it's like, they're not giving you complete layups over there in that type of promotion. I feel like when I watched the Lisboa fight against Ravena Oliveira, I watched the Lisboa fight against Luana Santos, who was coming up a weight class in that fight as well, from 115 to 125. And kind of a general trend that I saw when watching Croden's fights is like she wants to use standing cage control as a weapon against you. So I can see this being super, super boring, but a few things. She's actually from Calgary, I believe. So there's going to be some of a fan base, whatever her fan base, whatever the Scarecrowdens are. They'll be in attendance, maybe cheering her on a little bit early on the card when, let's face it's probably not going to be completely full in there. She may get a little bit of pop, but on top of that, I see a lot of standing cage control using her 5'9" frame. Maybe the fight ends up being pretty ugly. She's going to be closing distance and holding control. It's enough for me to pick her. Would have preferred to get, the initial opener wasn't even a real number, but would have preferred to get plus money on it. As this thing grows, like, if it gets past minus 150, like, I'm not touching with a 10-foot pole, but Croden, 60% seems worthy of maybe a little bit of exposure. Where are you at with this fight?
Yeah, I decided to go the other way and go Lisboa, but I got nothing really behind it. Melissa Croden, she was an undefeated amateur, and I worked for a promotion called Z Promotions Fight Night. Trash bag. Loser guy runs it, trash bag promotion, but I did work for them. And he signs her for her pro debut. He's like, we're going to give you a 1-1, 1,000 plus 1,000. For your pro debut is actually good money. For your second fight, if you win your debut, your second fight's a 2-2. Your third fight's a 3-3. This is really good money for a young fighter. She won her first two fights for the Z Promotions Fight Night, and then COVID canceled that 3-3. And after that, she went to Florida. She lost a split decision to Evelyn Martins. She came back to Canada. I booked her against Brittany Cloudy. Loser promoter cancels that event too. And then since then, Paul, this is kind of just the last three fights. She fights for the LFA title against Jacqueline Cavalcanti. She got knocked down 3 times in the first round. Jacqueline Cavalcanti is a good kickboxer. And you can see hand speed, boxing combinations, straight punches, kicks, moving laterally. It gives her a lot of problems. She's 5'9". I'm going to say she's plodding. She comes from a karate background. She's got tons of bounce to her, right? But she likes to, because she's big, is to like to just come forward on straight lines. And Cavalcanti is able to just largely beat her to it. One of the judges scored at 50-45 in favor of Cavalcanti. She just got better striking. Her next fight against Karina Lair. Karina Lair is a loser from OnlyFans. The German Gypsies currently won one of her last 7 fights. She's not good. She's not good at all. And Croden's in it. It's not like it's competitive. She beats her up, wins both rounds, and subs her. But Katharina Lehner is lining a decent amount of shots standing. Then I don't like it. That last fight with Ashley Dean, she smokes her. Yeah, Ashley Dean's horrible. But you make a great read in this one is that she's so big when she does grab onto the clinch and she does hang on to you in the clinch. That is where she's most effective. She reminds me of
probably try to do here. That's literally her game plan. If I was in her corner, I'd be like, you are closing distance. You may have to eat a couple shots to do it. And you are just hugging this girl against the cage. And hopefully the ref doesn't separate you. If you can get it down to the ground, even better.
I don't know about that. Because she comes from the karate background. And if you watch any of her other fights, is she's not trying to get these fights to the ground. She's trying to strike. And now it's your UFC debut. And here's a point that I wanted to get at. After this Brittany Cloudy fight got canceled, she was like, I'm going to retire. I don't want to fight no more. I'm going to retire. Then she says, well, I'm in shape. I might as well fight Cavalcanti. But she lost. Then she's like, you know what? I don't know. Maybe I'll come back. Won against Katharina Lehner and then basically retired. Took a year off. Came back and beat Ashley Dean, a soft layup, and then took a year off. Now she's making her UFC debut, coming off a year-long layoff. She's 34 years old, making her UFC debut, and has essentially retired twice, works a full-time job. But hey, the UFC's out west, and they're looking for somebody. And you've won your last two. You're a former LFA title challenger. It seems good enough. No one's going to say no to their dream. This is my dream to fight in the UFC, and I didn't think I'd make it. She should be on the Contender Series. She should be, maybe fighting again for the LFA title. To take a UFC debut, it is tough work. I just don't think she's really fought the level of competition in the last number of years. With Lisboa's fought Valentina Shevchenko twice in Muay Thai and kickboxing. She's got a credentialed kickboxing background. She's fought girls like Norma Dumont. She's in her UFC debut against Jessie Rose Clark. I mean, Jessie can box a little bit, but she just sparks her with blitzing combinations, fast hand speed, good kicks to the body, reverses position, takes her down, puts her away with the third round rear naked choke. The fight with Ravena Oliveira, this girl shot a bunch of takedowns, and she looked like she had good grappling there too. It's that last fight with Luana Santos. Luana Santos is good. And Luana Santos, even though she's a natural 125er, she takes her down. She takes her spirit. She breaks her down. It's not a great look. That was the first time she had fought in 2 years. She fought Oliveira in 2023, and now she comes back against Santos 2 years later. There's enough excuses I can make for her that if this ends up being a striking battle, Lisboa is a better striker. Who's got more speed, better combinations? Lisboa. Who's got more experience? Lisboa. Already fought in the UFC, already done all that. There's enough advantages for me to give it to her. But if you can end up getting Croden plus 145, plus Croden plus 155, it's gone now. If it comes back for whatever reason, CF dot model, I fully get. But this is a big task for a 34-year-old making their debut against someone the ilk of Lisboa, who's not great, but I do think she's getting quality looks in, has a speed advantage, has a striking advantage. It's probably going to play out striker versus striker. In fact, if
Cody's all in, top line Lisboa for Cody is what I'm gathering.
You can even watch Lisboa out grapple Jessie Rose Clark. She has 3 wins on her record.
Jess is so washed though.
But she's able to grapple her pretty good. Against Ravena, she gets taken down, but she hits a couple reversals. She gets some takedowns of her own. Against Luana Santos, she gets taken down in the first, but survives.
Can't really do anything off of her back. I just feel like it's gonna.
Have you seen Croden on her back? And the only reason I ask that is I've not seen it either, So I couldn't tell you if she's a great defensive grappler.
It's a greasy chick fight that's opening up a card that I feel like we are wasting way too much time talking about.
Let's just hit them with the PRP.
Let's hit them with the PRP, my friend. I'm leaning Croden. It sounds like you love Tainara Lisboa in this fight. Love her. How high up the PRP is she going to be?
I would love Alexis Thainara way more, but I will take Thainara Lisboa. No, listen, how high up this thing? If I were to put a mock PRP together right now, oh man, I can't even do it right now. Who's the
she like the dog that like works its way into like the 3rd or 4th line?
Yeah, who?
Lisboa.
She is the dog. No, I don't think so. Is she currently the betting underdog? No, she's
like plus 105. No, plus 105. She's
it swung that much, eh?
Yeah, it swung a lot.
Yeah, well, just off the top of my head, and I'll hit you with the PRP, but I'll let you know like who I like and who I don't. With Reinier de Ritter, the only way this guy would end up on a top ticket or two, and he might, I'm not ruling it out, is it's because it's the main event. Only reason is I can get a hedge out opportunity out of it. But I do like Reinier. Mike Malott, I like him, but I don't want him on my top ticket. Aiemann Zahabi, I'll be on the top ticket. Manon Fiorot, I feel like I want her on my top ticket. The thing is, it's a women's MMA fight. So the second line seems more appropriate than the top. Cody Gibson, my boy, can't trust him. Matt Frevola, I think he wins. Can't trust him. Charles Jourdain fighting Davey Grant. You think I want a top ticket Charles Jourdain against Davey? No. Bruno Silva, we're picking him as the underdog. Jordan Santos, we're picking him as the underdog. Kyle Prepolec could very well spring this thing as the underdog. Luciano is fighting a girl who hasn't fought in 2 years, moving down 2 weight classes. Girl could look completely different than the last time you saw her. Azamat Bekoev is a favorite that I personally don't overly trust. This is a trap card, bro. It's a full trap card. But there's a lot of other MMA on this weekend too, man. So you don't have to just overinvest. Just take the 2 guys you like the most. What's wrong with that? Add a third guy. And the way the PRP is, it's 2 guys on every line. You can add 1 guy in every line if you want. Add 1 guy. You don't have to extend yourself. You don't have to add some of these greasy picks to the undercard. It's just pick the 2 or 3 that you like the most and lock those in. But I don't know. Paul's got to cue me up for the hit them with the PRP. But
Hit him with the PRP.
I'm gonna go with Reinier de Ritter at the top. We're gonna go with Mike Malott, Aiemann Zahabi, Manon Fiorot, Cody Gibson, Matt Frevola, Charles Jourdain, Bruno Silva, Jordan Santos, Kyle Prepolec, PRP pick, Stephanie Luciano. For right now, Bekoev, but wait for weigh-ins, wait for other shit. I could switch. That could change. But Bekoev, and then I'm gonna take Tenera Lisboa. This card feels very, very untrustworthy to me. But what can you do, Paul? This is the game we're playing.
Yeah, I mean, full card parlays are very, very uncommon and very, very difficult to do. That's why you cherish them whenever they hit. But you have to realize that, matchmakers do a pretty good job of making fights that have a lot of different ways that these things can play out. We're dealing with people at the top levels, not the regionals, where it's like certain guys who are just like, this isn't going to be competitive. It's a lot different in the UFC level. All of these guys have skills in all facets of the game. So yeah, it's a tricky card, but a fun card, and I think there's some pretty good meat on the bone. As a guy who's not about the PRPs, not about all these chalky parlays and stuff like that, and a lot about more straights and some props and stuff, like I look at this card and I see some opportunity. Anyway, that is it for us this week. Hope you enjoyed the show. For Cody, I'm Paul saying goodbye and good luck.